other people. But to be frank, I mean, I'm not at all qualified, Prabhuji. I'm not just kind of trying to be hypocritic, but I'm speaking from my heart. I'm not at all qualified. I think it is like, I always feel when I try to take this session, I always feel that, I'll be guided by so many people. So I give the session, and at times I call a few of our satsang people and then try to gather, stats on which part can I improve on. So I'm sure that I'm not at all qualified. So I'll just, if there are any mistakes or anything, please forgive me. So I'll share my screen, Prabhuji.
1 second, Prabhuji, I'll give you the permission.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, you have permissions.
Thank you. Yeah. So today, what we'll do is we will go through Jada Bharata story. Before to that, probably I will do one small kirtan. Then we will start, Prabhuji. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jai Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jai Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jai Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshiranmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadatrisha Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I seek blessings from all the Vaishnavas, all the senior Vaishnavas, all the great Acharyas, Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Thank you so much. We usually sing this Jaya Radha Madhava before starting any session. And in one of the sessions, Prabhupada, when he was actually singing this Jaya Radha Madhava, he literally went into trance. And it's like when Prabhupada or Acharya sing this song, they can clearly see Krishna, walking with Radha on the banks of Yamuna. That's why I've seen many Maharajas actually, they just go into trance when singing this Kirtan. So it was like if we can actually meditate upon Radha and Krishna wandering in the banks of Yamuna when chanting or hearing this, reciting or hearing this Kirtan, it actually shows us Vrindavan. But I think it might take more time for a fallen soul like me to see Radha and Krishna walking on banks of Yamuna while reciting this Kirtan. Yeah. And thank you so much. Probably I'll take, I have got another 1 hour, Prabhuji. Till 8:30 we can go on, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. It's
Sure.
up. Yeah. Prabhuji, you can do more also, Prabhuji. We're all eager.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So what we will do today is, today we will discuss on Jada Bharata's story. I'm sure that many of us have already heard this. So one of the reasons why I have picked up Jada Bharata story is, I wanted to kind of more contemplate or more meditate more upon how to control the senses. So Jada Bharata's example is a very, very great example, which actually talks about what a kind of control that Jada Bharata has gotten. So we'll start with the first text, Canto 5, Chapter 9. So probably we'll try to, there are around 20, but we will not cover each of them. Probably we will touch upon the most, the informative texts. So to just set a context of, or the summary of Jada Bharata is, the story goes something like this. Let me close the story. So the story goes, overall the summary, the story goes something like this. A great king who was ruling the entire Bharata Kanda, and because of his material attachments, he had to take a very, it is called, it's an animalistic life he had to take in his next birth. And then, but by the mercy of the Lord, he remembers all that past life. And then he, even though he was in an animal body, he performs all the things that were needed to get liberation. And in the next life, again, he remembers all, he takes a human form, but again, he remembers all the past 2 lives. And then he was very cautious and he controls his senses very well. That was Jada Bharata's life. So he controls his senses very well, and then finally he goes back home, back to Godhead. So this is the summary. So what, Hare Krishna? Yeah. So the summary goes something like this. So Bharat Maharaj is born to Rishabdev, right? Again, Rishabdev is another incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So he takes birth to Rishabdev, and then he really, okay, what happens is he rules this entire Bharatavarsha, right? He was like magnanimous king. and his glory. That's one of the reasons why this country is called Bharata Desham, right? So he was very magnanimous king, and his ruling was like next level, right? So as he was taken birth in the family of or to Rishabh Dev, his powers are so magnanimous, and then the way he ruled the country was like spectacular, right? So there were no drought, and you don't see any person suffering with hunger or any distractions to dharma, right? Such a kind of great king Bharata was. And what happens is, in fact, he knows everything, how to get liberated, and what is the prime benediction that one gets when someone prays Lord Hari. And he's very strong in scriptures, and he was like well suited to be a great king. He knows all the things. And then during his end of his life, during Vanaprastha, usually these are different levels, right? Brahmacharya, Gruhastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa, right? So during Vanaprastha, I mean, he wanted to leave the kingdom, and then he wanted to go. So he takes Vanaprastha ashram during the end of life, and then he goes to the forests. In the forests, it was like he was doing very nicely, meditating upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and then eating whatever. In fact, those days people do not eat anything that is plucked directly from the trees. Nowadays we see a lot of mangoes and all the fruits, they were plucked out, and then they were sprinkled with some chemicals so that they get ripened fast. So you don't get the taste, but they get ripened fast, and then we eat, right? So that is what we do nowadays. But in those days, the vanaprasthas, or for that matter, even the common common people in the country, they only used to eat the things that are fallen, ripened and fallen. And then to talk about these sannyasas, so they are like eat only those leaves that are dry, in a sense like they have to fall. They don't pluck from the tree. The leaves and the fruits which have fallen from the on the ground, whichever were fallen on the ground, they take and eat. Right. So that was the kind of austerity that used to follow. In such a kind of state, also, Bharata, King Bharata, what he does is he looks at, I mean, not looking at, there was one mother deer, and then it has gotten a baby deer in its home, right? So what happens is that was actually struggling to give birth, and then it gives birth to the baby deer, and then it dies off. So after its death, after the mother deer's death, this Bharata Maharaj, usually devotees are so compassionate, right? So, and on top of that, Bharata Maharaj was like completely fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord Hari, right? Out of compassion, he picks up the baby deer, and then he, in the beginning, he wants to safeguard it because he wanted to make sure that the other big animals like tigers and lions, they do not eat this baby deer. So he takes care of that baby deer. We can talk like maybe till little young, it becomes little young so that it can run. But after that becomes young, and then though it gets the capability of running, he doesn't get detached from the deer. So what happens is he does his meditation, but he kind of develops some kind of interest because the deer comes here and cuddles him and things like that, out of which he kind of develops some affection. And even when this leads to a state where even when he was meditating, then he starts thinking, okay, where is my baby deer? And he even contemplates on what if this baby deer was eaten, or it was attacked by some kind of uh, okay, sure. So he starts thinking about the baby deer, and then it is like when he was meditating at that time also, he thinks about the baby deer, about, okay, is that baby deer safe, or is there any animal that has come and eaten up my baby deer, and things like that. He gets so much attached. Slowly his devotional service goes down. His attention grows towards the baby deer and goes down on from the lotus feet of Lord Hari. So finally what happens is that baby deer runs away, right? It after it becomes enough to capable to run away, it runs away. Then this King Bharata, he laments a lot. Where is my baby deer? Where is my baby deer? Okay, he laments a lot. Finally, when he was leaving his body, he had to take birth of a deer, right? There is, I mean, this is even said in Bhagavad Gita, right? Yam yam api smaran bhavam tyajate ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavidaya. So when the purport says, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.6. So yam yam vapi. So whenever during the death, when someone leaves the body, at that time, whatever he thinks of, that body he's gonna get, right? So what happens is Bharata, despite of so being so elevated state, he was thinking of a deer during his death. And then finally he takes birth as a deer. In fact, Sukadeva Goswami, literally, Sukadeva Goswami himself, feels so bad when he was describing about Bharat Maharaj leaving his body. When he was talking to Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami says, you're a devotee of the Lord, even Bharat Maharaj is a devotee of the Lord. You also have ruled this so many continents, and Bharat Maharaj also ruled a very big continent, Bharatavarsha. But see, he's kind of had to live the life of a deer. I mean, living the life of an animal is not an easy thing, right? For example, when we get kujali, when we get itching, right, we have hands, and then we can actually itch. And then when it is an animal, he cannot itch himself, right? Or she cannot itch himself. So it is very pathetic state. And on top of that, it is said that even in some lectures, senior devotees, they take an example of a disc and a tortoise, right? So when you think of a tortoise, a full-grown tortoise, it has got a very small head, and then it has got a big body, right? So getting the human body is so difficult, so difficult. Think of a disc which has a small hole through which only tortoise head can go. And then, so it's like there is a disc and there is a small hole on the disc through which only tortoise head can go. And what is the probability of the whole tortoise passing through the hole through which only the head can go? So that is the probability of getting a human body. So it is not at all easy. Can we think of a whole tortoise passing through a small hole through which only its head can go? The probability is almost like zero, right? So such is the kind of probability of getting a human birth, right? So Sukadeva Goswami explains. So Maharaj Parikshit, you are a king, and he was also a king. But after this life, you're going to go back to Lord Hari. Whereas Sukadeva Goswami had to take birth of a deer, right? And then Parikshit Maharaj even asks how many more births he has to take. Then Sukadeva Goswami talks about Jada Bharata life, and then he says that Charam means last. So he with so much pity, he says that this is going to be the last birth for Jada Bharata before going to Godhead. So even Sukadeva Goswami is like so, lamenting, thinking about Jada Bharata's story, right? So coming back to the story, and he takes birth of a deer because he was thinking of a deer. And during that, when he was taking the birth of a deer, he was very intelligent this time. And in fact, he remembers his past life as Bharat Maharaj, right? So luckily, he was so fixed on Hari's lotus feet, so he could remember Hari. Without the Lord's mercy, no one can remember. So with the mercy of Supreme Lord, even though he was having a form of a deer, an animal uses ahara nidra bhayamaitu namcha, right? So an animal can think of only these 4 activities. It doesn't have intelligence. But by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, though Bharat Maharaj was in the form of a deer, he remembers his past life. And this time, even he was in the body of a deer, he was so fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Just after birth as a deer, he leaves his family. He leaves his family and runs away from home. It's like, when I was a small child, whenever my parents used to scold me for anything, right, I used to think how to escape from home, and then do some work somewhere, and then live your life. That was a kind of mindset I had. But look at this deer. So it ran away from the home, not to not because her parents scolded, but rather to get fixed on the lotus feet of Lord Hari, right? So it runs away from home, and then again the deer's family and parents, they also lament because the deer has run away from the house. But where does the deer go? In that very big forest, there are like very small corners where these sages live and then perform yajnas, right? So the deer finds a very nice place where these sages were performing yajna, and goes there and then eats only the remnants of the sages. And then though it was in a deer form, it was like very well fixed, very well fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. In fact, though it was in deer form, though animal is supposed not to have any intelligence, it has got intelligence, and then it thinks of its past life, and then only hears to the chanting hymns, and then takes the remnants and prasadam of the Supreme Lord, right? This is how it actually spends the deer life. Over time, what happens is, it goes on, and finally it has to leave the body. And then when it has to leave the body, luckily this time it takes birth in a Brahmin family, right? And even if you look at and when it takes birth as a Jada Bharata. In this life, his name is Jada Bharata. Bharat Maharaj's name in the next life is Jada Bharata. And if you look at where Jada Bharata has taken birth, he has taken birth in Angirava family, right? So Angirava is direct son of Brahma, Lord Brahma, right? So Angirava, there is another story also, Chitraketu story. I don't want to go into that. So to cut the story short, Angirava is very exalted, and then he even could give the benediction to Chitraketu to get very great sons. So like that. So in Angirava's family, there is Dvijabarata, who is the father of Jadabharata, and then Dvijabarta is in Angirava's in dynasty, and then Dvijabarta gives birth to Jadabharata. And Dvijabarta gives birth to Jadabharata through his youngest wife, right? So if you look at Jadabharata's story, how did he actually get that took birth in a Brahmana's family? So when someone performs any devotional service or austerity, again, right, it is said in Bhagavad Gita that again he is going to take birth in a very very pious family. Either, I mean, to be in our they say, either you take birth in a Brahman's family, or you take birth in a very rich family. It is said again in Bhagavad Gita 4:13, right? What was said? Chaturvarnam maya sreshtam gunakarma vibhagasa tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. So what does it mean? According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, okay, no, not this one. There is another one, right? Sorry. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. It is also, yeah. Etavan sankhya yogabhyam swadharma parinishtaya janma labha param pumsam ante narayana asmare. Yeah, so Chaturvarna Mayasrashtam Sloka says, according to three modes of material nature and work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet non-doer, being unchangeable. So in this Chaturvarna Mayasrashtam, these people who actually have performed devotional service, they take birth in either Brahmana's family or Vaishya's family. So even if you look at the Vaishya's family, right, in India, at least there in the southern part, they eat a lot of non-vegetarian food, whereas you go towards the north, you find more vegetarians. In the southern part, there would be more non-vegetarians. Even in those non-vegetarians, if you look at, there are two varnas which doesn't eat non-vegetarian. One is Vaishyas, and another one is Brahmanas. So anyone who has performed very good devotional service in their past life, they take birth in either a Brahmana's family or a rich family, which is like Vaishyas, right? So if you look at Jadabharata's life, he has taken birth in Angirava's family. So he has taken birth to Dvijabarata. So I was actually, when we were in Green Grace yesterday, right, we were actually discussing about how fortunate these kids are, our generation kids, right? So we were thinking definitely that they must have done a lot of pious activities in their past life. For example, when we were doing the SSR sessions in Green Grace, our Urjit used to come and then dance and then sing and then jubilantly say Jai Prabhupada and all. Once there was one session that was happening by Radheshyam Prabhuji, and Radheshyam Prabhuji saw Urjit and said that he was a Prabhupada's disciple. And when sadhus speak, right, they don't speak just like that. Acharyas or Krishna speaks through them. And Radheshyam Prabhuji said that, he's not an ordinary soul. He was like Prabhupada's disciple. When he grows up, we might see him going here and there, but that could be materially established nature. It need not be the final destination, like in the case of Jadabharata. So what happens is, when sadhus speak, they speak for acharyas and Krishna, right? So Radheshyam Prabhuji was saying he was direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So this is what happens. So I was actually discussing about the children that we had in our satsangs, right? So maybe few examples that I can give. I was I mean, one of the reasons that actually binds me in the satsangs is my daughter's future, right? And the kids are so well nourished, so well nurtured, right? If you are in satsang, you at least you can assure that your kids are gonna go in right direction, right? Once there happened one thing. I was actually in I think me and Sucharita were going to it was 2011. We were going to, I remember this because it went so intense deep into my heart. So we were going to Kashmir, right? Sucharita had one friend from her master's days. So he has a house in his own house is in Kashmir, right? There's a place called Verinag, very, very beautiful place. So, after marriage, we were kind of planning a trip, and then we thought, why don't we go to Kashmir? And we wanted to go to Kashmir, but we were so scared. We didn't want to go to Kashmir because there were like we used to hear a lot of things, right, about these terrorists, that terrorist, and also we were scared. Then Sucharita said, "Don't worry, I have a friend. We can actually, the safety is assured." Then we planned for a Kashmir trip. And then when I was in the airport, Hyderabad airport, so it was like from Hyderabad to Delhi, and then from Delhi to Jammu, another flight from Jammu to Kashmir is by road. It was again very beautiful scenic thing. So when I was in Hyderabad airport, there was one small boy sitting beside me. Sucharita was sitting, then I was sitting, and beside me there is a family sitting, and then there is one small boy, and then he something slipped from his hand, and I was saying, "Wait, Chotu, I will give it back." I was like so politely and obediently, I was saying, "You need not bend because you're a very small kid, you might fall down from your chair." I said, "I'll give it." "Chotu, hold on." He said, "Kya Motu?" It went so deep into my heart. Like, that guy could be something like he would be around 4 years, not more than that, 4 5 years at the max. And I called him Chotu. Out of affection, we call, right, Chinna and all. Chotu is a word which means Chinna, right? A small, little, it means that little one, right? That guy said Motu. I was like, I think that's when I was like little fat and then little thick. Okay. So he said, I said Chotu. He said, "No need Motu." I was like bewildered. It's like I was calling you with such a cuddling name, and then he responded back saying that Motu. So these are the kind of kids we have in current era or current generation, whatever you call it, right? Completely spoiled brats. Parents were filthy rich, and then the kids were like, I don't need anything in life. All that I need is a pride or whatever you call it, right? Humiliating others, and these are the kind of things. And even the parents were encouraging it, right? In olden days, if someone is cheating someone, it is called cheating, and nowadays it is called smartness, right? This is the problem with current era. So I was so bewildered, and when I compare, I mean, not to boost about the satsang kids, but if you try to compare the kids, it is like they're far, far above and beyond the conventional group that we have right now. Right. Yesterday, I was talking to another Prabhu called Shyam Bihari Prabhu in Green Grace. I was talking, and then yesterday cake cutting happened, and then Prasasta smeared some cake on my face, and I needed napkins, right? The white napkins. And then I was searching for napkins, and then I asked Bala. Then he understood that I wanted napkins, and then he immediately rushed, and then he gave napkins. And then once there happened a situation, I think a couple of years back, not last year. This year also we've got Radhayatra's Prasadam distribution. And year before to that time Sumed was lost on the road. Usually in Hyderabad, the Jagannath Rath Yatra, the position is very, very intense, and then the crowd is so big. You find at least 1 million people. You find it, and in such a big crowd, we don't know where Sumit went off, and then everyone was running Haithar and Taithar, and then me and Sucharita were forwarding towards Rath, and then when we went near to Rath, and all Praveen Prabhu, Subara Prabhu, Mahesh Prabhu, everyone, Lilananda Prabhu, everyone was searching here, Haithar and Taithar for Sumit. When we went forward, then we saw Sumit was like, the Rath is going like this, and Sumit is walking backwards because he was looking at Jagannath. I went to him, I luckily found him, and then went to him and asked, "What were you doing?" He said, "Everyone is crying for you." Then he said, "I was looking at Jagannath." And this is the kind of kids that and there may be another example that I can give. Prasasta is very notorious. My daughter is very, very, very notorious, right? So Prasasta and Vrunda, they both, at times they have the sleepover concept. So Vrunda comes to our house, and then Vrunda got up in the morning, and then after getting up, I said, "Vrunda, do you want to have breakfast?" She said, "No, we don't have breakfast. I'll take bath and I have chanting 4 rounds." She chants 4 rounds. So then the very small kid, like Prasasta is 9 years. I think Vrunda would be around 7 years or 8 years, 7 years at the max. And then she said, "I had to chant, and then I had to recite few slokas. Then I'll have breakfast." See what kind of cultivation that the parents are giving to the kids. And of course, definitely they're so fortunate to take birth in devotees family. And a couple of weeks back, there happened Govardhana puja in Trendset, Praveen Prabhuji's apartments. And there, if you look at it, it's like I was again there. The culture is so, people were so filthy rich, right? So filthy rich. And then I see Samrit. Prakrit was singing, and then Samrit, he was playing Mridanga so nicely. Can you think of the kids, playing Mridanga, and then Vrunda chanting, reciting mantras, and then after mantras only having breakfast, and kids so politely bringing napkins for you to wipe the smeared cake and things like that. And on the other side, you have people who call you Motu, despite of you calling them Chotu. So the one of the very good thing that our congregation or the ISKCON family gives is, your kids are ensured to be a assets to the society, definitely not burden, right? So this is the advantage that we had. So having talked that, okay, cutting the story short, coming back, right? So when someone performs any devotional service in their past life, they are bound to take a birth in a very great family, either a great Brahmana's family or a filthy rich Kshatriya, filthy rich Vaishya's family, which is so gonna be so conducive for you to perform devotional service. Having said that, our Bharat Maharaj took birth as Jada Bharata in Jada Bharata to Dvija Bharata, right? And Dvija Bharata's, he took birth in Dvija Bharata's youngest wife, right? So now we will start reading this and see what happens in Jada Bharata's life. So these are like, I think we have got another 40 minutes, right? So yeah, this 40 minutes should be sufficient enough to actually go through these verse. There are like 20 verses, so we will skip in between few and then go forward. We'll start. I'm not going to recite the slokas in the interest of time. We will recite only the first sloka. After that, we will read only the purports. So, Sri Sukha Uvacha. So, Sukadeva Maharaj, Goswami is talking to Parikshit Maharaj. Atah Kashchidvija Varashyangiraha Pravarasya Samadama Tapa Swadhyayadhyayana Tyaga Santosa Titiksha Prahasraya Vidyanasuyatma Jnanananda Yuktashyatma Sadrisha Sruta Shilachara Rupodarya Gunanava Sodarya Angaja Bahuvar Mitunam cha yavi yashyam bharyayam yastu tatra pumam satam parma bhagavatam rajasi pravaram bharatam utsrutsa mruga sariram charama sarirena vipratvam gatamahu. The translation says, Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, "My dear king, after giving up the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj took birth in a very pure Brahmana family. There was a Brahmana who belonged to the dynasty of Angira. He was fully qualified with Brahmanical qualifications. He could control his mind and senses, and he had studied the Vedic literature and other subsidiary literatures. He was expert in giving charity, and he was always satisfied, tolerant, very gentle, learned, and non-envious. He was self-realized and engaged in devotional service of the Lord. He remained always in trance. He had 9 equally qualified sons by his first wife, and by his second wife he begot twins, a brother and a sister, of which the male child was said to be the topmost devotee of the foremost of saintly kings, Bharata Maharaja. This then is the story of the birth he took after giving up the body of a deer." So if you look at it, whom did he take birth from? He took birth from Vijay Bharata. Here the important thing is, look at how the qualities of Vijay Bharata were explained. These are all Vijayabharata's qualities, not Jarabharata's qualities. So there was a Brahmana who belonged to the dynasty of Angirava, right? He was fully qualified with Brahmanical qualifications. So Brahmanical qualifications means those days Brahmanical qualifications, not these days Brahmanical qualifications, right? Those Brahmanas, they do not even drink water. I don't know whether they used to take achaman before performing the sacrificial yajna, but it is said that they don't even take a drop of water before doing the yajnas. And even if it takes 3 days, they be like that. And until and unless they get the fruit of yajna, they didn't used to eat anything. That was the kind of Brahmana. So this Brahmana, Dvijabharata, had all the Brahmanical qualifications. He could control his mind and senses. And it is very difficult to control the mind and senses, right? And he had studied the Vedic literature and other subsidiary literature. He was expert in, and these are the qualities that are very important. He was expert in giving charity. Charity means it is not like, I earn 1 lakh a month and then I give a charity of 1,000. Charity means something that should pinch. It is not about pinching. Rather, as per as a grostha, we should be giving as per that Isha Vasham principle, right? So charity is above and beyond that. Right. So, Radheshyam Prabhuji tells, every single day they used to wait for a guest. Without a guest coming, they do not eat. Right. So that was the kind of qualities that the Brahmanas had. Right. He was very expert in giving charity, and he was always satisfied. And satisfaction means not like, ye dila de, mere ko wo dila de, unke baad mein satisfy ho jaunga. Not like that. So satisfied means literally, with whatever the Supreme Personality of God, whatever you get, you have to accept it as something that is given to you by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then live with it. And then tolerant. Tolerant means, here the word titiksha, the tolerant is very important. Tolerant means it is like, whatever happens, like the Vrajavasis, when there happened the Govardhana Leela, right? The rain was like, there are torrents of rains that were like literally pouring, and then they were like flooded and flushed away, right? Even then they were so tolerant, just thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is gonna save them. So that's the kind of tolerance that one should have. And is very gentle, learned, and non-envious. And this non-envious is a term that is that's very, very important here. And non-envious is something that it is not an easy thing. So there are like two qualities that will keep you away from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can engage anything in the service of the Supreme Lord, but pride and envious nature, these two things you cannot put it in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? For what it means is, I can take to one level above and then try to explain how an envious nature can actually come out. I can guarantee you that if Jagannath or Krishna, who is like sitting as a deity there in the altar, if he comes out and walks out and eats with you and then enjoys with you, it doesn't take more than a week for us to undervalue the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even we are gonna become envious. What is there in this boy? It's like he just like any other boy, he also has the same features. Despite of that, he's getting so much of praise, and then so much of importance. Why is it so? So this is where it starts. There is a say, right? Familiarity breeds contempt. So the moment someone becomes so familiar to us, I will give you one example. When I was working for Deloitte, we used to think like, there used to happen so many discussions in our Chicago office, and we always used to talk about Indians. Arey, this guy has got promoted, and that girl has got promoted, and all these people who are nothing other than the Indians. A person is ready to serve the US citizen, but he's not ready to work under an Indian manager. He doesn't want an Indian to get promoted, but he's okay to give the same promotion to a US citizen. So this envious nature comes in because, as I said, formality breeds contempt. So it's like, what is the difference? He's also an Indian and I'm also an Indian. And on top of that, our qualifications are same. Despite of that, he's getting promotions. So we are not ready to give promotion to those Indians, our friends very close to us. But if someone else very far and who we do not know, if they get a promotion, we are happy to listen to that. So this is called envious nature. So envious nature and pride, these two things cannot be deployed in the service of Krishna. So we need to be very conscious, very, very conscious. Many times I get inspired looking at the satsang people that we had. It's like, despite of holding great positions, so they're so humble and so caring. Yesterday I went to Sripati Prabhu's house. Sripati Prabhu is he lives in Manikonda. I think he's disciple of Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj. And this is the first time I went to his house yesterday night, because I had to pick up Sucharita and Prashasta. They came from Abid's temple to one Prabhu, Misra Prabhu's house, and then I had to pick up from them. And the Mataji, Sripati Prabhuji's wife Mataji, invited us to their house to look at the Nitai Gauranga's altar. So we could not say no. Though we were running out of time to raise green grace, we went there. And then when we went to their house, my God, first I thought that it's an apartment, it's not a house with lift and all. It's multi-storied. When we went to their house, Mataji directly took us, I think her name is Sita Mataji. She directly took us to their altar. My God, it's like the altar is so opulent. It came from Ujjaini temple. The altar is so big and then so beautiful. Whatever the altar you have seen, our altar you have seen, right? The sizes are the same, but the beauty is next level with all kinds of paintings. And it is from Ujjaini. And Ujjaini is very famous for making altars. So you can imagine how beautiful it's gonna be. And very cute little Nitai Gauranga deities were there in the altar. And the hall is so big. I asked Mishra Prabhu that, Prabhuji, I mean, I thought it's an apartment, and then it looks so big, and then the hall is so big, it can actually hold a Nama hut, I said. Then Mishra Prabhu was saying, Prabhuji, they used to live in old city, and they recently moved here, building this house. And the entire ground floor is his office. He has gotten a transport office. I don't know if it is Bharat Motor Parcel Service or something. And the first floor is altar, and I think second floor is like their living area or something. Altar is so big, and Mr. Prabhuji told me that Prabhuji, for construction itself it took 8 crores. I was like, oh my god. And when I was talking to Mataji, she was saying that, Prabhuji, you're so, I mean, Mr. Prabhuji started, as usual, he started glorifying, this is Udayananda Prabhu, this is Sutarsa Devi Dasi, and then, they were like, from Rompa Swami Maharaj disciple section, there is that and all. I said, Mataji, I'm literally, not at all qualified to receive all these things. In fact, we just got initiated. We were not at all qualified. Then Mataji said, no, Prabhuji, I mean, we can clearly see, from you, your attitude, we can clearly see what a kind of this thing you got. Then I was like, internally I was saying, I think all this should go to my satsang. I was internally thinking that, this entire credit, Krishna, give it to our satsang, because I was not so humble. Everyone, yesterday was my birthday, and everyone started praising, including Praveen Prabhu, that, Udayananda Prabhu is so humble. No, actually, if you ask me, this humbleness is not my mentality at all. I was so fortunate to get into this satsang, Lilananda Prabhu satsang, looking at Satya Prabhu, Subara Prabhu, Praveen Prabhu. Despite of their so great qualifications, they're so humble in nature. I think you might have understood by now, interacting with them. And those people who had gotten the opportunity, the fortune of meeting them personally, they're so humble. So this is what you get when you live in the ISKCON society, right? So coming back, right? So, and non-envious nature and tolerant, satisfied, all these qualities are the byproducts of association with devotees. It is otherwise, if you're trying to stand alone, as in Satyuga or Dwapara Yuga, trying to meditate alone, chanting hymns and all, I'm sure that there are very, very high chances to fall, unless you get direct mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So this non-envious word is very, very important here. So looking at all the satsang devotees, right, I kind of cultivated, non-envious. Still I am struggling to get my pride out. So non-envious nature, not being so proud of your achievements, and being so humble, and all these qualities are, and in fact, believe me, once you get these qualities, you become the greatest leader, at the same time servant, right? So in Bhuloka, the greatest job is a job of a CEO, or maybe a job of a head. But in Goloka Vrindavan, can you imagine what is the greatest job or the topmost position in Goloka Vrindavan? Anyone? Can anyone?
Servant.
Haribol, yeah. So it is, the servant is the greatest. It's like CEO. Someone who gets the maximum services, he would be the topmost there, like a CEO of a company, right? So if we can inculcate those qualities in Bhuloka, it is damn sure that we'll go to Goloka. Because once you get the quality of becoming a CEO through a servantship, that's when we are ready to go to Goloka, right? And these are the qualities, they don't just come like that. You go and do an MBA, they will teach you how to cheat, or you go and work in great companies like, Ford or Toyota, they will teach you all kinds of sales tricks where, you have to boost more than what you actually have. Right. I was even partly I worked in pre-sales also. They used to tell you have to get dressed like this, and you have to talk like this. Though you do not have, you have to talk about, having it. So these are the kind of traits that they will teach you in the material world to exploit the nature and humanity in large more and more. But whereas in satsangs and in the association of devotees, you get more and more better qualities to become more and more better. Right. So these are the kind of qualities that Jada Bharata had. So imagine what a kind of birth this time Bharat Maharaj has taken. He has taken birth in the family of Jada Bharata. Right. And then Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Parikshit Maharaj was asking, how many more lives? How many more? Parikshit Maharaj, again, the devotee of Lord, he is so compassionate, right? And he was asking how many more lives he had to take. He already had taken birth of a deer, and it is mentioned somewhere here, right? He was self-engaged and okay. Yeah, topmost devotee. Yeah, and it is said that there is one word which says this. Then is the story of birth, Bharata. Yeah, here I think. Let me read it here. So here it says, he utsrushta mrugasariram. Mrugasariram is considered to be utsrushta, and very, very niche. I mean, it is very difficult body. It is very, very difficult to survive in that kind of body. It pains a lot. So Parikshit Maharaj, out of compassion, he was asking how many more births he had to take. Then Sukadeva Goswami is saying here, Charama Sarirena. Charama means last. So this is going to be the last body of Bharat Maharaj, right? So we'll go to the next one. Yeah. Again, this is all about Jada Bharata's qualities that they start now. So here it says, due to his being especially gifted with Lord's mercy, Bharat Maharaj. So Jada Bharata, as he has received the mercy of the Lord, could remember the incidents of his past life. Although he received the body of Brahmana, he was still very much afraid of his relatives and friends who are not devotees. He was always very cautious of such association because he feared that he would again fall down. So Jada Bharata used to be, Jada means what? Inertia, right? In English, it is called inner. We have got this word inert became famous in Newton's first law, right? Or the second law, right? Inertia means Jada, means it doesn't move. There has to be some inert material, means there literally has to be some external force to divert that inert matter. That is inertia. That is Jada, right? Unless you go and move, he's not even gonna move. So that is the life of Jada Bharata. And why is he behaving so? Is he like so less intelligent? No, he's really not Jada. But out of his memory that he had from the past lives, he remembered those. And although he received the body of a Brahmana, he was still very much afraid of his relatives and friends who were not devotees. He was always very cautious of such association because he feared that he would again fall down. Consequently, he manifested himself before the public eye as madman. He looked like madman, dull, blind, and deaf, so that others would not try to talk to him. In this way, he saved himself from bad association. Within, he was always thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord and chanting the Lord's glories, which save one from the bondage of fruitive action. In this way, he saved himself from the onslaught of non-devotees associates. So we might get a question that, how does Sukadeva Goswami knew that, Jada Bharata is not so intelligent. Despite of that intelligence, he was behaving like a madman and then always remembering Hari. We might get this question. But, these elevated souls, they can actually get the Sukshma Rupa, right? They can actually even go in and then read the mind, right? So Sukadeva Goswami explains here, Jada Bharata is so intelligent and so powerful, so elevated, and he had all the knowledge of Vedas, and he remembered the past life, all these things. Despite of that, he behaved like a madman, and all these things Sukadeva Goswami can read, and he explaining that to Parikshit Maharaj. So we might get a question that how Sukadeva Goswami is. For example, there is this Bakasura story, right? So why did Bakasura split Krishna? In fact, Bakasura wanted to swallow Krishna. In that story, what happens is Bakasura comes as per order of Kamsa and then swallows Krishna, right? When he swallows Krishna, usually when these birds swallow something, they keep it here, right? This place, right, where the tongue ends and the throat starts. So this place Bakasura keeps Krishna. And then Sukadeva Goswami explains, right? When Bakasura swallows Krishna, it becomes fire red. This place, the throat becomes fire red. And then Bakasura could not withhold, and then he just spits out. And all the Gopas and Brajabasis, they do not know why Bakasura spit Krishna out. Why Bakasura spit Krishna out? Because of the fire, he could not withhold the heat. That's why Bakasura had to spit Krishna out. Only Krishna knows, right? Because he's so sukshma, he can actually understand. So that this is just an analogy to understand how devotees like Sukadeva Goswami can go through the heart and then understand what a person is, right? So he can actually understand what a kind of personality is Jada Bharata, right? We'll go forward. Now, in this fourth one, he further explains about the kind of endeavor Dvija Bharata, the father of Jada Bharata, puts to make the madman-looking Bharata to uplift him and to teach Vedas, right? So the Brahmana father's mind was always filled with affection for his son, Jada Bharata, Bharata Maharaj. Therefore, he was always attached to Jada Bharata. because Jada Bharata was unfit to enter the Grihastha ashram, he simply executed the purificatory process up to the end of Brahmacharya asrama. So what did Jada Bharata did? He just executed only the purificatory process up to the end of Brahmacharya ashram. Although Jada Bharata was unwilling to accept his father's instructions, the Brahmana nonetheless instructed him in how to clean and how to wash, thinking that the son should be taught by the father. So if you look at even now, again, Dvijabharata is trying to show his Brahmanical qualities. He knew and he understood. He was like, he can clearly derive that, looking at Jada, he can clearly derive that, Jada is not going to learn in any way. He's like so Jada. Even if you give Achaman, he's not drinking, he's throwing out. When you ask him, in fact, it is said here in further purports, when water is given to him to go for morning thing, and then he just throws out the water and comes back. And even his Yajñopaved is so black and dark in color. So looking at all these things, Dvijabharata could have given up all his endeavors and tries, but still he tries because he thinks that it is the duty of a father to cultivate the son and this, to guide him in right direction, despite of he being not able to observe what Dvijabharata is trying to teach him, right? Yeah. And 595, this is again, a very important text. Let's read it. Jada Bharata behaved before his father like a fool. Despite his father's adequately instructing him in Vedic knowledge, he behaved in that way so that his father would know that he was unfit for instruction and would abandon the attempt to instruct him further. He would behave in completely opposite way. Although instructed to wash his hands after evacuating, he was asked to wash his hands, but he would wash them before going for evacuation. He used to wash his hands, right? Nonetheless, his father wanted to give him Vedic instructions during the spring and summer. He tried to teach him Gayatri mantra along with Omkara and Vyahruti. But after 4 months, these 4 months are those 4 months where the devotionals are usually in those days. What used to happen is the Brahmanas, they used to start giving these Vedic knowledge and all this training in these 4 months. This is called Chaturmas, right? You perform some austerities. 1 month you don't take curd, another month you don't drink milk, another month you don't take urad dal, and another month you discard the green leafy. I think the sequence is like green leafy, curd, milk, and then finally urad dal. The 4th month is urad dal time. So some devotees, they do not eat urad dal. So this is called Chaturmas, which is very, very conducive for devotional service. That's why you see starting from the first month of the 4 months till Kartik Mas, right? We perform a lot of austerities, and then even for that matter, there are people who do not eat non-vegetarian. Those non-vegetarians, they do not eat even non-vegetarian during this Kartik month period, right? So these are 4 months which are very auspicious and conducive for performing devotional service. And these 4 months that they're talking about, Dvijabharata is training Jada Bharata. That 4 months is the duration. After 4 months, his father still was not successful in instructing him. So Dvijabharata is trying to teach Jada Bharata in these 4 months, which were so conducive and auspicious for trainings. But even those months, he was not able to grab the instructions of his father. Right? Then in 596, it says, the Brahmana father of Jada Bharata considered his son his heart and soul. See what kind of pain that he was undergoing. And therefore, he was very much attached to him. He thought it was to educate his son properly, and being absorbed in this unsuccessful endeavor, he tried to teach his son the rules and regulations of Brahmacharya, including the execution of Vedic oaths, cleanliness, study of Vedas, the regulative methods, service to the spiritual master, and the method of offering a fire sacrifice. He tried his best to teach his son in this way, but all his endeavors failed. In his heart, he hoped that his son would be a learned scholar. So he thought that his son is going to be a learned scholar, but all his attempts were unsuccessful. Like everyone, this Brahmana was attached to his home, and he had forgotten that someday he would die. Death, however, was not forgetful. At the proper time, death appeared and took him away. So Prabhupada says, a person might forget death, but the death is not going to forget. It's going to come back. And despite of whatever austerity, penance, good deeds that we do, it is going to come and catch us. Death is not going to forget us, right? Yeah. Yeah. Then Dvijabharata leaves his body. While leaving his body, his youngest wife. So in those days, the wife is allowed to leave the body along with the husband. So what happens is here, he begot two children, right? Dvijabharata begot two children with youngest wife, one the twins, one daughter and one son, and the son is Jada Bharata. So the youngest wife, despite of having two sons, the Jada Bharata and the twin sister of Jada Bharata, she decides to leave the body along with Dvijabharata, the husband. And so what she does is she hands, and Dvijabharata had two wives, right? The eldest wife who had got four children, and youngest wife got two children, right? So youngest wife, what she does is she hands over these twins, the son and daughter, to elder wife, and then leaves the body along with Dvijabharata. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I'm gonna skip these things here, because here to talk about the summary, what happens is Jadabharata is not able to absorb anything, but it is said that he gets the body like a bull. He's very strong and fit, and but to explain his qualities further, he wears just a lion cloth, and then he doesn't understand the teachings, and he cannot really perform things. Only thing that he used to do is he just sit idle. If anyone says I'll give you some food, he used to go and work for them. So even his elder brothers, the elder cousin brothers, they also try to teach him a lot, and but he cannot get it. Over time progresses, he actually tries to abandon himself from others like a madman, and people used to call him Brahmana Bandhu. They used to make fun of him in the town, despite of all that he used to tolerate. And he was very fixed in mind that this life he wanted to get out of this material world. You might get a question that, if he wants to get out of this material world, his father had been trying to instruct a lot of good things, and his father is also very well qualified. We might get a question, despite of his father being so qualified, why did Jadabharata discard even his father, who is very qualified and well versed in Vedas, and then very elevated? We might get this question, but the thing here is that any attraction, even attraction to children who were like behaving very well, also binds us to this material world. Yesterday I was discussing with Subhara Prabhuji in Green Days. I told him that, Prabhuji, I have a lot of attachment to two-wheelers. I'm sure that I'm going to take another 4 lives. So what to do? And Subhara Prabhuji is telling, just leave it, Prabhuji. Just leave that attachment and get detached, right? But my question was I had a desire. I might quit the desire, but am I going to take the birth again? I had a very big dream of buying a Ducati, right? Do I have to take another birth to actually work in the Ducati showroom? Because I'm not sure if I'm going to get enough of money to buy Ducati in my next life. So in case I do not get enough of money in my next life to buy Ducati, I'm going to take birth as a mechanic who actually gets an opportunity to service high-end bikes like Ducati, Aprilia, and things like that. So I was telling him that I had gotten a lot of attachment to two-wheelers, the racing bikes. What should I do? He said, just get attached, Prabhuji. Okay? And then he told me one story also about the stamp collection. That's again, another small story. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, so any attachment, it need not be to materialistic things. Even if you get attached to, believe me, Prabhuji, even if you get attached to, very great people, that also leads to another birth. You have to take another birth. Knowing this truth, Jadabharata is not attached to even his father, who is very well qualified, having a lot of affection to Jadabharata. Though Jadabharata was looking like a madman, he can read, he can understand, everything. And then the only 2 things that he used to do is eat, sit, and the other important thing that he used to do is he used to go and sit wherever this Harinam Sankirtan used to go, or Harikatha used to go. He used to just sit and then, wander around and look here and there like this, like a grumbling man. But at the end of the day, his mind is very fixed on the Lotus feet of the Lord. He's a very intelligent person. It's not that he was not intelligent. He was just behaving like that. And his elder brothers, who were like so materialistic, despite of taking birth in a Brahmana's family and in Angira's family, they were so materialistic people, they used to exploit Jadabharat. So what they used to do is, this guy is like very strong, right? Jadabharata is very strong, like a bull. It is explained in one few of the slokas that he's very strong. He was so strong that he had the very beautiful complexion, and then he was like a bull, so strong, right? He could do so much of work, right? Yeah. So he was so strong and so powerful. His elder brothers used to exploit him. How they used to exploit him? They used to give broken rice and fungal infected food and all these things. But Jadabharata, knowing he, ultimately, he was very well fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord, right? Knowing all these things are temporary and material, he used to, whatever food they used to give, they used to take, he used to take it, and then happily used to accept, eat that, and whatever work they used to tell, he used to perform. In fact, as his build is very nice, they used to make him work in the paddy fields, for ploughing and then farming and all those things. Even in those fields, he didn't know that where to put the mud and where to, take the mud out, and where to put the all those Jivamrits and all. He doesn't know where to put. There also used to make a lot of mistakes, and his elder brothers used to give a lot of punishments also to him. He used to tolerate all these things because he knew that this is material world is, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So his mind is so fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Right. So time used to go on and on and on. And then what happened is he was actually given the job of safeguarding the crop, because these crops were eaten by deers. The paddy fields, the crops were eaten by deers. So he was doing a watchman job in the night. Right. So he was given a cot, and then on that cot he was sleeping, and then he was given the job of safeguarding the crop in the nights to make sure that the deers do not come and eat the fields. And after that job, he used to get whatever little spoiled food that he used to get, he used to take it like a nectar. It is mentioned in this one. He used to, you treat it as nectar given by the Supreme Lord, and used to eat that, broken rice and fungal infected food. He used to eat that. So what we'll do is we'll go a little forward. Yeah. Yeah. Then what happened was, when he was actually doing this watchman job, right? What happens is, there is the leader of the dacoit. So this again, this is something that is that caught my mind. Let's read this text 5:9-13. The leader of the dacoits captured a man animal for sacrifice. So in the forest, there is a leader for a group of dacoits. And then in those days, what used to happen is, people used to sacrifice animals, even human beings, they used to sacrifice. Probably I'll take you through one of the videos that in one of the Telugu movies, it is shown how they used to do chanting of the Kali, and then perform so many austerities to please the goddess Kali, and then perform austerities to get great things like riches and then children. So this king leader of the dacoits, what he was doing is, he wanted to get more and more riches. So to get more and more riches, he wanted to even slaughter a human being. If you look at it, we are doing nothing other than that, right? Nowadays, what are we doing? Actually, if you look at all those people who were creating these pharmaceutical, and they're producing medicines, right? Some medicines were produced to exploit more, and some medicines, of course, they were produced with a good intent of mind to actually cure the diseases. But there were so many medicines that were produced just to make more and more money, not for curing the lives. So what I'll do is, here I will try to show one small snippet from one of the movies. Okay. Yeah. So this dacoit, the leader of this dacoit group, he wanted to he doesn't have children, so he wanted to get a child. So what he has done is, he has decided to give sacrifice a man animal. So they captures one man. Man animal means a person who lives an animalistic life. So even when they wanted to sacrifice, right, they didn't want to sacrifice an intelligent person, because when you capture an intelligent person, it is not easy to hold him, first thing. And second thing, if you're sacrificing an intelligent person, you're gonna incur more sin, right? So now here comes an interesting thing. In the material world right now, if we are not intelligent enough, if we are not in devotions, of course, devotees are very intelligent, right? We know that they can actually distinguish between what is good and what is bad, what creates good karma, what creates akarma, what creates vikarma, and they're very intelligent, and they can actually easily decide. So the problem here is, whenever there has to happen a sacrifice, they used to choose only the man animal, the person who behaves like an animal. Why they used to do? Even if you take the example of current scenario, right? Who gets seated? Only those people who are dumb get seated. and falls for all these tricks of the people who are exploiting. So in the current world, you see many leaders of who looks like a leader, but they were like exploiters. Here also, in those days, what happened was there was a leader of the dacoit group. He wanted to sacrifice. Currently, also the analogy is same. We are getting exploited. Anyone who is dumb, he is just getting sacrificed and falling prey to those dacoit leaders. In current scenario, also producing so many sophisticated things, and dividing the earth into so many pieces and then selling it, and they are like completely exploiting the nature, and all these things are happening, right? We can clearly see this happening in current generation also, right? So this says the leader of dacoit captured a man animal, but he escaped. So the person, the human being whom they have captured, he escapes. Now what happens is his dacoits, his followers, they go on searching for another man animal or a person who behaves like an animal. So wandering here and there in the middle of the night, covered by dense darkness, they came to the paddy field. Finally, these dacoits, they comes to the paddy field, where they saw the exalted son of Angirava family. So Jada Bharata is, in the Angira dynasty, right? Who was sitting in an elevated place, guarding the fields against the attacks of deers and wild pigs. And next purport says, the followers and servants of the dacoit chief considered Jada Bharata to possess qualities quite suitable for an animal, and they decided that he was a perfect choice for sacrifice. Their faces bright with happiness, they bound him with ropes and brought him to the temple of the goddess Kali. So what happened was they found Jada Bharata. Jada Bharata, as usual, he was like very inert man, and then he's looking like a madman, right? So they found him to be equivalent to that man animal who has escaped the previous capture, right? He has got escaped. They found Jada Bharata also to be little similar or identical to that person, and they captured him, and then they took to the dacoit leader, where they have got that Kali's temple. And again, Kali is none other than Bhadrakali. Kali's another name is Bhadrakali, right? So Bhadra becomes Bhadra in material world, and she's Subhadra in spiritual world. She's none other than Subhadra. For a devotee, she is Subhadra. Bhadra is protection, right? Su is good. She's a good protector for devotees, and she's a Bhadrakali for materialistic people. So this dacoits leader, what he's trying to do is he's trying to sacrifice the head of a man animal and then get begot a child is what he wanted, right? So the followers took him to the chief. What we will do here is we will read the next one, and then we will play a small video, right? And then what happened there? Here, after this, all the thieves, according to their imaginative rituals of killing animalistic man, bathed Jada Bharata. So they gave nice birth to Jada Bharata, dressed him in new clothes, decorated him with ornaments befitting an animal. So before giving sacrifice, right, they decorate even the human being, they decorate with it like a animal with all the ornaments, smeared his body with scented oils and decorated with the tilak, sandalwood pulp and garlands. When we read it, we should understand one thing, that Jada Bharata was born with an effulgence. His body was so bright, but he didn't want others to realize that, so he covered his mind, body, senses, everything with material dirt to talk of, right? He used to literally roll on the floor to put more and more dirt on his body, and he used to wear line cloths. At times even the cloth was not there on his body, and his hair was not given bath for years and years. It is like a big cake, that hair was. So he was looking like this, and when these dacoits, he took him, they gave him nice bath, and they dressed him in new clothes. At that time, at least they should understand, when they gave him a nice bath, he would have come out into his original shape, where he's so effulgent, looks like a great personality. But still, the dacoits didn't realize. This is what happens when we go out and then try to give, when we go out and then try to do sastra. There were many people who directly reject, no, we don't need Bhagavatam. Even if we are giving it a gift, they say, no, we don't have a place. I think Bhadrapuram, we found a few people in Avatar, right, where they were like, no, they paid, and then at the end of the day, you take Bhagavatam to their house, it's like so big, no, I don't want to take, right, Bhadrapuram? So when we were doing this Bhagavatam distribution for Bhadrapuram, there were few houses. Again, in a rich community, it's like they paid, they had a lot of money. So they said, okay, I need a Bhagavatam. They paid whatever, that 7,000 or 8,000. And when Bhagavatam finally got shipped to their house, they looked at the box and said, no, this is so big, I don't want this. So you can imagine their situation. Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam is revealing, and then they're like saying no to it. So it's a similar state that these dacoits are undergoing. So there is no difference between dacoits in those days and the puffed up people in nowadays. There is no difference, absolutely no difference. So after giving bath to Jada Bharata, his original effulgence has come out, and he could actually, people could see that his nice color and then his effulgence and everything. But still, those dacoits could not realize him as a great devotee. So what they did, they fed him sumptuously. They even feed before giving sacrifice. They even feed. They fed him sumptuously and then brought him before the goddess Kali, offering her incense, lamps, garlands, fast grains, newly born twigs, sprouts, fruits, and flowers. In this way, they worshipped the deity before killing the man animal, and they vibrated songs and prayers and played drums and bugles. Jada Bharata was then made to sit down before the deity. So we'll see one small video here. I'll try to show a video here. It's from a movie called Bhairav Dvipam, in Telugu movie. But overall, if you look at it, the summary of this text is, they did not realize Jada Bharata as a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On top of that, they're still ready to sacrifice him. They decorated him, put ornaments like an animal, and did all the things, and then they tried to sacrifice him. Let me know if you can actually see this video. Probably I'll try to share the system sound also, because that gives us a feel of may not be exactly like this, but I felt like sharing it. I felt it very, I kind of felt that it is funny, but that's the kind of picture that we can imagine. So the dacoit leader had such a kind of big temple, and then there is goddess Kali, and then he tried to sacrifice Jada Bharata before goddess Kali, right? So what happens, I think it's 8:30. I'll try to wrap it up in another 8 minutes. I'm not going to take it further. There are another 5 verses, but I'm not going to go deep in it. So the summary of this is, they decorate him, and then finally the leader of that dacoits group, he gets one very big sword, and then tries to kill Jada Bharata. He comes with that sword, and then he just lifts up, and then he tries to kill. The moment he tries to kill, the goddess Kali breaks open the idol, the vigraha, and then comes out. And when she comes out, it is so well explained. We should read the next verses. If you get time, please continue reading. There are till 20 verses, I think. You should continue reading this. It is very interesting. It is very well explained in such a way that, Kali Mata comes with her paraphernalia, and then with lot of other, beautiful, very scary witches, and all are females, right? They come like anything, and then the goddess Kali comes and takes the sword that was there in the leader's hand. With the same sword, she kills all those dacoits left and right, and then all the witches and the followers of Kali Mata, they drink this blood of all those dacoits, and they get so much intoxicated. They make a lot of sounds, dancing, and all the things they do. Can someone tell me that what is the reason why Kali Mata came and then killed all those dacoits, despite of they trying to sacrifice Jada Bharata, which was a ritual in those days? If you look at it, the leader, the dacoits leader, what he was trying to do is, he's trying to sacrifice Jada Bharata. It is for his benediction, and he's trying to offer Kali Mata, right? Despite of accepting that offering, why did Kali Mata come back and then kill the person who wanted to offer? Can someone guess why Kali Mata?
Because he was a devotee of the Lord.
A great devotee.
Hari Bol. Yes. So as we said before, Kali Mata is nothing but Bhadra Kali, and the same Bhadra becomes Subhadra, and same Subhadra becomes Bhadra. So for all those dacoits, maybe we are surviving very nicely now in this material world as per Kali Yuga Dharma, but this is not going to work out, right? One day, the Bhadra becomes Bhadra Kali, and then gonna chop all the heads of these demons one way or the other way. It is not like coming here, breaking open a big idol, and then coming and chopping the heads. It's not like that. But we see a lot of sufferings outside, right? Despite of having a lot of money, people were like not able to live so conjugally with their families. There are few families I have been hearing in the past. I have one very good friend of mine. He's like, he might be having, you don't know how many acres of land he had nearby the Chavala and all. Right, he's a very close friend of mine, and his son was so obedient till he joined degree. Now he joined degree, he's doing BBA in ICFI, and then he doesn't care for his parents now. And his father gifted him a Fortuner, Toyota Fortuner. I think it costs around 42 lakhs. Despite of all that, he calls him nonsense. see what's happening. And despite of earning so much and accumulating so much, and then you think that your children is going to take care of, and then you cultivate them and motivate them how to cheat others, the same cheating propensity they're going to use on us, right? So if you're a dacoit, Subhadra is definitely going to become Bhadrakali and then come back and then chop. So all the followers of Bhadrakali, they were drinking this blood from all these dacoits and playing with the heads like footballs. You should continue reading this chapter. There are another 5 texts. You should continue reading it. So the Bhadrakali's group, they play with the heads of these dacoits and then keep drinking the blood. Like they get intoxicated and then does dancing and all these things. So finally, if you look at it, Jada Bharata is a great devotee of the Supreme Lord, and Bhadrakali knows it. So with that, as she is like, none other than Subhadra, knowing that Jada Bharata is a great devotee of the Supreme Lord, she came out and then killed all the dacoits and, safeguarded Jada Bharata. So the summary is, if you're a devotee, Bhadra, as Bhadrakali comes and then saves you. So for devotees, she's Subhadra, and for dacoits and people who exploit, she's going to be Bhadrakali. Right? I think it's 8:36. With this, I want to give 4 more minutes for if we have any discussions or any revelations or anyone, any of in the group wants to share more details, please share it. And please forgive me. I know that I'm not qualified to speak now with so many senior Vaishnavas on the table, but I just beg all your forgiveness and prayers for me to, start my devotional service at this point in time. Thank you so much. If we have any discussions, we can go ahead. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I think you can go ahead for some more time, Prabhuji. I think at least 8:40. Maybe we have more things to continue.
Then we'll complete these verses, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead, Prabhuji. Cover up all the things that you
Sure,
want.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So we'll read 6th text now. In 6th text, it says, at this time, one of the thieves, acting as chief priest, was ready to offer the blood of Jada Bharata, whom they imagined to be an animal man, to the goddess Kali to drink as a liquor. He therefore took up a very fearsome sword, which was very sharp, and consecrating it by the mantra of Bhadrakali, raised it to kill Jada Bharata. Then 17th text says, here this is a little interesting. This is where the realization comes. All the rogues and thieves who made arrangements for the worship of goddess Kali were low-minded. So anyone who is trying to exploit is low-minded. We need not think that we are like we have less money than them, or we are not able to earn as much as they are. Need not, because they're low-minded. So that's why they're trying to exploit and sacrifice good people and then earn all those things. So they were low-minded and bound to be modes of passion and ignorance. They were overpowered by the desire to become very rich. Therefore, they had the audacity to disobey the injunctions of the Vedas. So much so that they were prepared to kill Jada Bharata, a self-realized soul born in Brahmana family. Due to their envy, these dacoits brought him before the goddess of Kali for sacrifice. Such people are always addicted to envious activities, and therefore they dared to try to kill Jada Bharata. Jada Bharata was the best friend of all living entities. See, here it is mentioned, Jada Bharata was the best friend of all living entities. If you remember, we were talking about how he used to accept that broken rice and fungal infected food, right? He was, despite of his elder brothers giving all such kind of food and then exploiting him, getting him his work done in the paddy fields, he was accepting that food as nectar. He was no one's enemy, and he was always absorbed in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was born of a good Brahmana father, and of course in King Angirva, in Angirva's dynasty, and killing him was forbidden. And Brahmana, it is said that, right, Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namanama. So Brahmanas and cows were protected by Krishna, and these guys were trying to kill those Brahmanas. Even though he might have been an enemy or aggressive person, in any case, there was no reason to kill Jada Bharata, and the goddess Kali could not bear this. So goddess Kali could not tolerate this, literally. She could immediately understand that these sinful dacoits were about to kill a great devotee of Lord. Suddenly, the deity's body burst asunder, and the goddess Kali personally emerged from it in the body, burning with an intense and intolerable effulgence. Intolerant of the offense committed, the infuriated goddess Kali flashed her eyes and displayed her fierce curved teeth. Her reddish eyes glowed, and she displayed her fearsome feature. She assumed a frightening body, as if she were prepared to destroy the entire creation. Leaping violently from the altar, she immediately decapitated all the rogues and thieves with the very sword with which they had intended to kill Jada Bharata. We'll go to the next one, where it is explained how she played. Yeah, I think not this one, the previous one itself. It is said that, she plays like, yeah, here it is. Yeah, she then began to drink the hot blood that flowed from the necks of the beheaded rogues and thieves, as if this blood was liquor. Liquor. Indeed, she drank the intoxicant with her associates, who were witches and female demons. Becoming intoxicated with this blood, they all began to sing very loudly and dance, as though prepared to annihilate the entire universe. At the same time, they began to play with the heads of the rogues and thieves, tossing them about as if they were balls. It's like they were playing it as if it's a football. Right? And when an envious person commits an offense before the great personality, he is always punished in a way mentioned above. So anyone who is performing sins against devotees or brahmanas or people who are trying to make good, they have to undergo severe pain. So this is going to be the final summary sloka. Sukadeva Goswami then said to Maharaj Parikshit, O Vishnudatta, those who already know that the soul is separate from the body, who are liberated from the invincible knot in the heart, who are always engaged in welfare activities for all living entities, and who never contemplate harming anyone, are always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who carries his disc, the Sudarshan Chakra, and acts as supreme time to kill the demons and protect his devotees. The devotees always take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, at all times, even if he threatened by decapitation, they remain unagitated. For them, this is not at all wonderful. So here some example comes into my mind. So Lord always saves, despite of whatever problems comes. And believing in those pure devotees, they always leave it on the Supreme Lord. We have heard it in Gajendra Moksham also. And there is one living example, Bhaktiraga Swami Maharaj. Right? So once Lilananda Prabhu told in one of the SSR sessions, so Lilananda Prabhu went with his kids, Path and Hruday, and saw Bhaktiraga Swami Maharaj. I don't remember exactly it's Path or Hruday. One of them asked Bhaktiraga Swami Maharaj, right? So Maharaj, what happened to the other leg? Then Maharaj said, Krishna gave it and Krishna took it. So that is the kind of elevated consciousness these devotees have. So actually how Maharaj lost his leg is when there was like Mayapur was getting established. That time there were a few dacoits who came to steal the deities from Mayapur temple. At that time, Bhaktiraga Swami Maharaj, fought a lot, and he had even a gun at that time. Unfortunately, there was one bullet that was stuck into his leg, and then that leg has to be removed. Right, and see the consciousness that he had when the small kid asked him what happened to your leg. He said Krishna gave and Krishna took. Can we say that? And then if you look at how he preaches, I went to Sripati Prabhuji's house yesterday, right, in Manikonda. Despite of his so opulent, with 8 crores of construction building, he was like so humble. His hair is white. He's so, had been in devotional service since so long. He's, about to be in the age of retirement, and he's paying obeisances to such a fallen, very small devotee like me. And then, of course, Mr. Prabhu, even to both of us, he was actually paying obeisances. Such a kind of great devotees Bhaktiraga Swami Maharaj was creating. So I think with this, I want to end here. So those who are devotees can just leave everything on the Supreme Lord. Rake Krishna Mareko, Mare Krishna Rakeko. So that is the summary. Thank you so much, everyone. I think I extended time a little bit. I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, I think it's done.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the beautiful story of Bhagavatam. Jada Bharata story is always enchanting to me because it's starting with Maharaj until Jada Bharata coming, and there is so much to go through. Actually, there's a lot of more story to go through. I felt as if you ended abruptly. Maybe we should put more time. Lilananda Prabhuji is on the call. I think I saw him.
Oh, Lilananda Prabhuji is there. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are audible.
Prabhuji, you are audible.
Yes.
Prabhuji, thank you for the amazing class. Prabhuji. I was hearing the whole class.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. I thought you were busy.
No.
Sorry, Prabhuji, if I have spoken anything wrong, please forgive me. Please.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you give so many practical examples, especially the way you told that how satsang is useful for our children. And you give so many nice examples of Bhaktiraga Maharaj and collect everything. We're very grateful.
Thank you.
Yes, any questions, any reflections, anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, yeah, just one quick question. I always had this question, like why, when Bharata took birth in that Brahmin family and his father is also, very exalted Brahmin, he could have told that, he could have told like his past life, and then instead of acting like a like a lunatic or something, why can't he just reveal that, okay, this is how I took birth, and let's leave me alone, or maybe you could have lived in a very exalted life also, right? Like that is also a better way to go into the liberation, reach his destination. Why he has to behave like that?
Prabhuji, they are elevated souls, right? So we don't know what is there in their mind. If you ask me, maybe my thought process is, he found that behaving like a madman could be the best possible way to very fastly reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even if you look at in the past life of Bharata Maharaj, right, despite of he having so much of knowledge, of his compassion, which is actually the quality of a devotee, made him bound to the deer. So that maybe Lilananda Prabhu or Subara Prabhuji can actually.
When King Rahuguna came, only that time he has revealed his real identity. Until that time,
Yes.
he has not spoken anything.
Yes,
so
Prabhuji.
that's what why he has to take so much long, and he has to suffer through with so many kids throwing stones and all that. So just had that question, bro.
Yeah, Prabhuji, actually, if you look at the other way, like when he had the life of a king, he enjoyed all the opulences, and then he despite of having knowledge, he actually got attracted to the deer, right? So in this life, there are two stages, as you mentioned. One is the madman character, and the other one is to King Rahuguna, he explaining all the great literature, and then revealing all the absolute truth, right? So that was needed at that point in time to be spoken to Rahuguna, so that it further continues in his rule, Prabhuji. That could be one of the. But again, I am no man to speculate. I will leave to Lilananda Prabhu, or Subara Prabhuji has been reading Bhagavatam, having Telugu Bhagavatam reading sessions. So I'll leave to them, Prabhuji. So, or Praveen Prabhuji, if you have something to share, please share on that.
I haven't still come to that point of Bhagavatam Prabhu.
Okay.
But to Satyadeva Prabhu, he was saying, like, why he did not reveal it, or why was he suffering till that point of time before he revealed it, right? That was the question, right, Satyadeva Prabhu?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So
why he had to suffer.
Yeah, suffer. So what we think is suffering, some of these souls do not even think it as suffering. They're not attached to even suffering. We talk about detachment. Most of the time we talk about detachment of something good, but detachment is part of not being attached to even something bad, basically. So what we think is suffering is for them just normal life, because they're not attached to even a thorn, as Udayananda Prabhuji talked about, somebody was losing his leg, and then he said, like, it is just part of Krishna's game, basically Krishna's plan. So that's he's not attached to the suffering. That's the big thing. It's not easy to get to that point of thought process. And also most of the times the memory is also a part of Krishna's plan, basically. Sometimes you remember only when it's the right time, basically. It is revealed, or it is, again, Udayananda Prabhuji a couple of times used to say this to me, when that Paramatma connection happens, only then it is revealed, basically. Probably those might be some of the reasons to answer Satyadeva Prabhu's question. Is what it is the right did that at least did I answer the question properly, Prabhu? Satyadeva Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean, in terms of like when the realization comes, but I mean, suffering wise, I understood like what you said is like, as a devotee, they know that, the suffering is only body level, and at the spirit level, these sufferings are, beyond, there's no suffering at the spirit level. And maybe he has he wanted to go through that instead of, revealing that.
It is not even making a conscious effort of wanting to go through it, Prabhu. It is not even a conscious effort of wanting to see, understanding that the body soul concept is good at one point, but after a point, it is the difference between suffering and fun or enjoyment is the same thing, basically. It is there are no two elements of suffering and joyful things, basically. It's just part of the same thing, basically. That's the level of detachment. Then probably what you have on the table is what you have on the table for lunch, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, Praveen Prabhu or somebody wants to add something there. Yeah.
Prabhuji, you're on mute. Praveen Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I read it, but I think you have to go back and revise. But one more thing in this kind of situation also, Lilananda Prabhu is there. Lilananda Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sorry, we were blabbering something.
Prabhuji, you're not
The
audible
voice
now.
is not audible, Prabhu. Lilananda Prabhu.
Am I audible now?
Even now.
Low, very low.
Very
Prabhuji.
low, Prabhu.
I'll request. You continue.
No, so Prabhuji, the only thing, the other point you made is why can't he tell about his previous birth and all those things? I don't think Prabhuji people will believe.
Correct.
The thing is that
Yes.
the mindset of people is in such a way that if I tell, I'm a Bharat Maharaj in my previous life and then I became a deer and then now I'm their final Janma, I don't think anybody would believe you. And there's no point in telling things because you are this realized soul and they don't have dualities, as Subhara Prabhu told. And they already know the body and soul are, different, and body is just a covering, and the suffering and enjoyment of this is not there. And they want to be aloof as much as possible, finish off this, this karma balance, whatever they have, and, go back to Godhead. So there's no point, Prabhuji. And then nobody will believe also. So the other people have to realize by themselves, like how Rahuguna, realized. Even him got bewildered in the beginning because he was not taking care of the palanquin properly. Only after some time when he started talking, it's like this, right? Elevated people, you only realize when they start talking, and that's people. Other side of the people have to realize themselves. Only then you will know. So these yogis and high elevated people, they decide to go this way. They don't want to. And there are many instances. I think if you remember Srinivasacharya Prabhu, the Python man. If you remember the Python man story, he just used to sleep somewhere when he gets some food, and then people used to ridicule him. So those people, they don't really reveal anything to anybody, and then they only know what's going on inside their minds. So that's my 2 cents, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. I felt that way actually. People will, even if you go to Maharaj, they won't reveal unless you ask, and then if they feel that.
But this story is not in like in Kali Yuga or Treta Yuga, because incarnation, Rishabh Dev incarnation, maybe I don't know whether what Yuga this story is related. Prabhuji.
Even if you look at their elder brothers, they were pure materialists, Prabhuji, who were like exploiting him and then giving him broken rice.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So even in those ages, there are dacoits who are doing the sacrifices, and brothers who are humiliating you. It's nothing to do with Kali Yuga. So people are there, maybe in less in quantity, but all kinds of people are there in every Yuga.
Probably Lilananda Prabhu can actually take it up.
Yes, we are waiting.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No. Prabhuji already discussed all the points. The only thing that I wanted to add is, number one, Jada Bharata is a devotee, and even Bhagavatam explains that sometimes it's difficult to understand God, and sometimes more difficult to understand a devotee. Why devotee does what he does, right? And second thing is, there is no doubt that Jada Bharata had the capacity to preach, and a devotee always preaches the glories of God, but he chose not to preach. He chose completely to become silent. Completely inward. He chose not to preach, and still he went back to Godhead, right? So it is not that he has not done service. He was also doing a service by not preaching. He was also conveying a message that how important it is to internalize than to just talking about knowledge to others, right? So he was setting another different kind of example of how focused we should be in a devotional life, and devotional life is more internal than external. Like His Holiness Gaur Govind Maharaj in Orissa, proper disciple, glorious Maharaj. He says preaching means like a boiling of milk, right? You boil the milk and it boils and boils, and finally it comes out, right? So when it comes out, it is called preaching. Not that you take the milk and pour it in others bowls. That's not preaching. So I have learned 5 things. I'll tell those 5 things to others. That's not preaching. You learn it, you go through it, you realize it, And then it automatically comes out of compassion, out of gratitude. When that knowledge comes and goes in front of people, like Prabhupada, the way he took that knowledge and he gave it to the world, the whole world heard it because they could see love, they could see pure love in his intention. So preaching, but Jada Bharata did not do. He kept himself completely aloof to set an example how serious we should be in spiritual life. That is one of the main reasons. And to deliver oneself is the prime responsibility in this material world, right? So, like in the aircraft, they say, right, buckle yourself and then buckle the passenger, or put your oxygen first and then give to the others. Same with spiritual life also. He wanted to set that example, that how serious one has to be about one's own deliverance also, right? Yeah, service is great, but we have to follow the footsteps of many acharyas are setting the example in many, many ways. One thing is very clear, that if we are not pure, we cannot go to Krishna. If you're not pure, we cannot go to. That is very, very clear. No matter how much service you do, no matter how much book distribution you do, how many festivals you do, how much preaching you do, how many people you know, how many people know you, all that is nonsense, as compared to the purity that you carry, right? Because same materialistic tendency can be shown in devotion also. So Jada Bharata was actually so pure that he completely internalized himself, and look at the purpose when he spoke, na. I mean, the next chapters when he actually speaks, the philosophy, that philosophy is so high and so, in a way, so gory, if I'm using the right word, about material world, that he scares you out. When you read the purports of Jada Bharata, like the translation and Prabhupada's purports, it really gets scared about material world. My God, where am I stuck? My God, how important it is for me to get out of here. So to create that situation, the entire thing is Leela of God. So Krishna created a situation where Jada Bharata waited and waited and waited, and finally he revealed it. And it came into Bhagavatam, right? It came right into Bhagavatam. So maybe it's all a situation created by Krishna, that he only had to speak at a certain time to the right person, Rahugana. So it comes to us in the form of Bhagavatam. Like Parikshit Maharaj was a great devotee of Krishna, but Bhagavatam was not revealed to him in the day one, right? I mean, a situation was created where he had to die in 7 days and 7 nights. Then only Bhagavatam was revealed, right? Not that he was not eager to know about Krishna, not that Sukadeva Goswami was not available, but the whole situation was created so that it creates the importance, the attention to the readers of the whole life that one goes through, and then he starts. Like even Prabhupada's life, why to go to the such a, even the latest history, Prabhupada's life, 65 years, he was a grahastha, he was doing all the household responsibilities, yet trying to, maintain devotion, and then took sannyas. Then only when the right time came, Lord Krishna sent him out, and then the magic happened. So my only answer is yes, Jada Bharata is a great devotee, whether or not he preached. And yes, nobody can understand devotee's heart, and everything is arranged by Krishna for many, many reasons, and different messages are conveyed to different acharyas. So these are my 2 cents. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And pranam.
Hare Krishna. So you're all ready for welcoming Gaur Nitai tomorrow?
Yes, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
It's a great
Again,
festival. Festival of deities. Subara Prabhu and family. Congratulations to them. I don't know if Shilpa Mataji is there on this call. But,
so my parents have come yesterday. So all my father's other 2 brothers are coming tomorrow. So
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, wonderful. Your
we want to
brothers
make
are
it.
coming?
We want to make it a big good event. Yeah.
From Kolkata, your brother is coming?
Sorry.
Where does your brother live? Prabhu? One is in US and other one is...
No, not my brothers, Prabhu. My father's brothers.
Oh, father's brothers, uncles are also coming. Hari Bol,
Yeah,
very
they are
wonderful.
coming. They have. My father has 2 more surviving siblings, so both of them are coming. So one person is very elderly man. He's like 85 or 86. So
Oh, very nice. Very
he's
nice.
come from our village, Elementally. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I told them this is something that we should have inherited as a treasure from you, but because of that we are doing it ourselves now. So
Yeah.
that's like
And is anybody in touch with Shilpa Mataji? I'm sorry, I
Yes,
could
Prabhu.
not call her at all.
Yes, Prabhu. So everything is happening in coordination.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
So Nirpama is more and more in constant in communication with her. So yes.
Is anybody recording the whole event? It's a memorable event.
That part, as a video thing, we are doing it basically. I have
Yeah.
but he's not available. But he's sending somebody. But live cast kind of thing that I have not planned, Prabhu. That's the thing. My technical skills are not capable.
No, we can keep the YouTube live from my channel. That's fine, and it gets recorded also.
Okay.
We can just keep it there, and you can
So
send the link.
through the computer camera, or because you normally put the extra camera, right?
Yeah, no, my phone through my phone, I can just keep the tripod, and it'll.
The phone is good
stream.
enough. But
Yeah, phone is good enough. It has a good camera.
So we have Wi-Fi connection there, so that part.
Yeah. No, the only reason I'm saying it's a very eventful day, which your children might even see, when they grow up, and their children might see how did these deities come to our home, what happened that day. Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. What did they do?
ప్రభుజీ మనము డైటీస్ ని ఊరేగించచ్చా ప్రభుజీ? అంటే అట్లా ఒక రౌండ్ తిప్పచ్చా?
అంటే బిఫోర్ ఇన్స్టాలేషన్ చేయరు అనుకుంటా ప్రభు.
Yeah, installation is when you have the Netrotsav, and they start seeing, and then you do the arti, and after that you can.
After that we can do, not before that, right, Prabhu?
Not before that.
From house to the clubhouse, we are just taking it only in a closed environment.
Yeah, again, Prabhu, these are home deities. So home deities, the rules are a little different. Sometimes some devotees bring the deities and they worship them without installation for years, and they are kind of self-installed. It's explained that they are already installed, right? So such deities might have been even taken on Urigumpu, they might have taken out. So still works. But normally in our case now, the deities are not shown to anyone. They are first time being shown to everybody. So there is a proper installation process, and then after that we can. Gaurnita will be very happy to do Sankirtan. In fact, they have come to start Sankirtan movement. So, yeah, it's a wonderful. It's a very special event, and my own personal experience when we did our Gaurnita installation in Greenville, South Carolina, I had only called like 40 people because I knew only 40 people there. It was far away from the temple. I had called Srinivas Acharya Prabhu from Charlotte. He came. And I had called Ramchandra Prabhu from another Prabhuji, my god brother from Atlanta. He came. And then I didn't call anybody else, because I didn't know anybody. All others I knew were in Boston, and Boston is too far. But to my surprise, more than 100 people came. I was shocked. Oh my God, what is going on? I don't even know them. The house was filled with so many. So we should understand that when Supreme Lord comes, he calls his own people, and he makes his own arrangements. Don't think we are arranging anything. He is the one who is making all the arrangements. Including Prashadam menu, he is deciding through us.
Yesterday,
right?
Subbara Prabhuji was saying, Prabhuji, I mean, I went to Green Place yesterday. Subbara Prabhuji saying, Prabhuji, do you think 200 people will come? They gave counts, but do you think? I was like clapping inside. Obviously it will cross 200 people, Prabhuji. I mean,
yeah. Oh, it will. Another 5 people from Avatar have given their count. I have not added that yet. Close to 40 to 45 are coming. I told them this is your last chance. So I scared them. So no, just kidding. I didn't say anything like that. I'm just saying that it's a very special event. How many such events happen in our society? We bring yes, we do Durga Puja, Ganesh Puja, but those deities don't remain in our homes. They're let go. These deities are going to remain for the rest of our lives if they allow us, right? And and Radhesham Prabhu is coming. He is so excited. he called me yesterday, and he asked how are things. He was asking me about my father primarily, but then he was asking how are things going. I said, yes, Prabhuji. I told him that I may not be able to be totally active this festival. He said, that's fine. He has very high expectations on everybody, Prabhuji. I'm telling you, especially in our group. Very, very high expectations. I feel so, I myself am not qualified to have any expectations, and he has expectations on everybody. So he's very happy to come anytime we call. Actually, he always looks forward for an opportunity to come and interact with all of us. Everybody, whoever is preaching, not preaching, doesn't matter, with all of us, because he sees that family bonding in us. That's what I told many times. I come to your family, I says, I come to this big family in Gachibowli. So it's a family event tomorrow. Don't think it is Subara Prabhu's event or Shilpa Mataji's event. It's a family event tomorrow, and we all should celebrate it like a family. Gaurnita are coming into our house, into our joint family house. We have other Gaurnitas also, but then there are many, many more needed. So let's welcome Gaurnita Vindatai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, I just want to add one thing here. It's when you said about our satsang and family. Yesterday, I know we went to the temple, Prabhuji, for the kids program, and I could say that how much high regard you have in the temple. Everybody was greeting us very nicely, Prabhuji. Madan Gopal Prabhu was conducting the program, and he was coming to me and asking so many things. And then Prabhuji, to our surprise, Varaдаkrishna Prabhu came to give an initial lecture for the kids. And as soon as he saw me, Suman Srisha Mataji, he personally took us down back to the altar to show the new outfits of Radha Madan Mohan. And he was so happy showing us all three altars. And, such a nice gesture by him, personally took us, to the altars. The altar was so nicely decorated with so many plants and those things. He was so happy to show us. And so many other devotees were greeting us. The temple was so many people were there. Still, he was giving us the personal attention. So we're so happy and fortunate to be part of this satsang, Prabhuji. That's what I would say.
Yes.
Lilananda Prabhu ki.
Jai.
Down, Prabhuji. Prabhuji. Okay, so I think we have a big weekend ahead. Yeah, I also wanted to, I think I've sent a message in a different group about Vyas Puja offerings and all that. So please look at that. Next weekend also is going to be a little busy. So block your calendars, and we'll connect tomorrow. Tomorrow, I had called Gauranga Darshan Prabhu to give the class, and he accepted.
Hari Bol.
Tomorrow morning is going to be a very blissful day to start with. It creates a right mood for us to prepare the rest of the day. So let's definitely log in tomorrow morning. Yeah, and I might be moving over the weekend. Maybe today, not today, tomorrow and Monday to the new house. So looking forward to see all of you. Come and bless our new house once we move there. Maybe after 2 weeks, I'll be calling everybody, because initial 2 weeks, doctor told no guests, because he has got trichostomy and all. Infection is very, very dangerous for my father. So really hoping that everything goes fine, and we all will celebrate in a big way in our new house.
Prabhuji, Namkesha Prabhu will definitely recover once he comes home. That we have seen before also. He really loves that environment. And, last time also same thing happened. We are praying that he will recover very fast as soon as he comes home.
Prabhuji, he told, like when he was going to COVID, he told one thing, as I told this prayer also, that he wants to see all of you initiated. So how can he go before that?
Yeah.
He will see. I have that feeling in him. He's determined. So let us see whatever is Krishna's plan. Hari Hari, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Prabhu. Thank you, Udayananda Prabhu, for wonderful class, reminding us seriousness in spiritual life. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.